In 1839, one of the United States' greatest enigmas was born. No matter how much those around him tried to get more information or any kind of backstory, he would avoid those questions, often only answering with single words and broken English. He would not even give a name, and so he would go on to be known simply as Leatherman. Perhaps no name in history was more accurately given. From around 1858 until his eventual death, Leatherman was seen wearing just that. His hat, scarf, clothes, and shoes were all handmade from leather. These protected him from the elements as he traveled in a 365-mile loop, mostly sleeping in caves along the way. Approximately every 34 days he traveled from Old Saybrook, Connecticut, west to White Plains, New York, north to Somers, Connecticut, and then east to New Britain, Connecticut, stopping in numerous other towns. It is unknown how Leatherman earned money to purchase the supplies he acquired on his route. Some believe he traded furs, meat, and other things he collected while traveling. It is known, though, that it was common for those along his route that became acquainted with him to leave food on their porches around the time he would be scheduled to pass by. In 1879, the state of Connecticut passed so-called tramp laws which permitted the arrest of the homeless. But Leatherman became so well liked that upwards of 10 towns that he passed through supposedly made him exempt from these laws. Although in 1948 a researcher named Lewis Hurt stated he found that there was no legal evidence of this. Later in his life, though, he was forcefully taken in by the Humane Society in 1888. He was soon released after being found to be totally sane except for what they called an emotional affliction. Unfortunately, in March of 1889, Leatherman was found dead in a cave on the property of a man named George Dell in Mount Pleasant, New York. Among his possessions found with his body was a French prayer book, which strengthened the common belief that he was of French-Canadian descent. This enigmatic vagabond survived for decades in the wild, braving the harsh blizzards and hot summers of New England, but ultimately his end came from mouth cancer caused by his tobacco use. Initially, when he was buried, his tombstone called him Jules Bourglet of Lyon, France, because it was published in the Waterbury Daily American, but this was later retracted by the newspaper. His death certificate officially lists him as known by the Leatherman. After all those years traveling around Connecticut and New York, he was once again on the move in 2011 as his body needed to be moved due to a nearby road. In what will hopefully be his final resting place, a new tombstone was placed, simply reading, "The Leatherman."